Good evening and welcome to Smart Entrepreneurship Decoded. Over the past many weeks, we have met a variety of individuals from the startup ecosystem. We have met lawyers, we have met investors, we have met entrepreneurs, we have met people from accelerators, incubators, you name it. Tonight, I'm joined by a very special guest. Coincidentally, I just came to know before the show that we were born in the same city, Patna, Bihar. And that really, is a connect. I haven't been to Bihar in many, many years. But whenever I meet someone from there, I feel a warmth in my heart, as you would too if you met somebody from where you were born. But that's not what is interesting about the person. He's an investment banker. He has worked in some of the largest banks, largest companies for more than 15 years, spotting deals. Now he works for a VC firm, early stage VC firm. And I will be asking him quite a few questions because I have a 20-year-old daughter who's very keen to become an investment banker. She doesn't know how. These are new, at least in the startup and the VC world in India, these are newer careers. But tonight we are joined by somebody who's done it for a decade and a half. Join me in welcoming Addison Appu. Welcome, Addison.
Good evening, Nalin. Nice to be here.
So let's start with the cliched question, that my daughter asks me all the time. How does one become an investment banker? Is it by chance? Is it by choice? Or is it a compulsion? How does one become, what do you do to become an investment banker?
To answer that question, I'll take a few steps back first. Sometimes you're thrown into the deep end. For me, I wanted to study finance because I realized every field that you work for, be it a Fortune 500 company or anybody, if you're a CEO, the lifeline for any business is money. And whoever controls money will control probably what happens in the business. So that was the starting point. Then the critical factor was how you grow. In terms of every business, if you look at stock markets, everybody talks about revenues, margins, how you're going to grow. And the only way there are only two ways to grow. One is organically, where you keep getting clients, or you then spot an opportunity where you can acquire somebody, add it to your kitty, and then grow faster because you eat up in the competition. So that is typically a role of an investment banker. They are not just the people who assist a company to grow inorganically, but also allows the management to breathe a little easy, both in terms of resource procurement, in terms of capital, and also in terms of spotting opportunities which will propel their growth. For me, being a finance student, I got the opportunity early in my career. I started my career as an intern in Punjab National Bank Treasury, where I was assisting all the 4 desks. It was a great learning experience. From there, the path was almost visible. So I joined an equity research team of a bulge bracket European bank, then moved into HSBC and worked there for 5 years and learned the trade. And it's all about spotting. And you need to have a very good memory, by the way, to become an investment banker, because something which is relevant today and might not go through will probably be a great opportunity in 6 months time frame.
So Addison, when you meet entrepreneurs, so I also meet a lot of them through India Fund Fest and all that. One of the things that I notice is you will have you meet 100 entrepreneurs and hardly anybody will have a CFO. And it gets so difficult to have a financial conversation, right? Because that is a different terminology, a different world. Do you face the same thing, or have things got better in India?
Very good question. I think it has got two facets to it. See, what happens is most of the entrepreneurs who start up are generally having an engineering background or tech background. These guys are very, very passionate about the product or the services they're trying to build. And they come up with very good solutions, be it a platform, be it a product, a tech. So they dive too much deep into the core that they know. When we come across teams, we always look for complementary business skill sets, and that is where the sense of doing business is also very important as compared to just building a product. To answer your question, yes, we do feel that some of the startups are a too two-member tech team, very good at technology, but when you ask them questions related to business, how we're going to manage their costing, they're a little, I would say, not aware of what. I mean, they also end up diluting a lot. I mean, in terms of the fact that if you get a finance guy upfront, he will give you that advice that if you have built something good, don't let it go for cheap. What happens is, since you are also learning the trade, you have put a great product together. I have heard Mr. Vijay Shekhar Sharma, when whenever he speaks in conferences, he says, I sold 38%, 40% in my first round. Hardly did I know that I was sitting on a gold mine and I had to dilute so much. So bringing in a CEO will definitely help. I do understand the second facet of this whole conversation is that how to get a guy who is experienced, who can, because it's a catch 22 situation. You may not have the resources to hire the best person around, but you need to find somebody who may be your friend, who has been an ex colleague, who is interested in the startup space, to bring him on ESOPs or give him some equity, because he adds a lot of value. And it's good to have complementary business skill sets.
Now, that's a very important point you make, because most of people look at a CFO as an accounting person. Now, accounting, statutory compliance is one aspect. A CFO's role in fundraising may be a one-time thing. So that's where your point of bringing in somebody who, on a consulting basis, ESOP basis, or at least one-time support basis, is very important.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at it, some of these companies are really bootstrapped in nature. They put in their small wealth that they have created, and then they build the product. They are not taking salaries, so pressure is always there. We have seen that. However, all said and done, to grow the business, you will require capital, even if you have a great product, because it is almost like whatever you are earning, you're putting back into the business to grow, either through geographical expansion or through product diversification, and both requires capital. Here in this case, it's a full-time activity, and if the two founders uh, are stretched in their bandwidth to come and talk to each and every investor and explain them, obviously every investor will want to know who the founders are. So it's good to have complementary skill sets. I have seen a lot of engineers having MBA backgrounds, and so the even for them, it's always good to brush up, because an investor always wants to know. Uh, it's not just about the product has to make business sense, because at the end of the day, if you can't make money, if you can't sell the product, if you can't sell your service, you're not going to make money, and living life on borrowed capital doesn't help.
True. I want to go back to a point you were making earlier about undervaluing and overvaluing. Just like there are all kinds of entrepreneurs, we do have all kind of investors. Not very long ago, India was a land of money lenders more than investors. Some would argue it still is, but do investors, by undervaluing companies, actually harm themselves in the long run?
See, valuation is very, it's a mathematical process. I mean, at times when I say mathematical process, whatever you are doing, if you're generating something, an investor will want to buy in. What is an investment? It's basically you have created something, and I want to be part of it. That is how it works. In equity markets, you buy shares of listed entities. In a private market, which is the alternatives, here in this case VC investments, you build a product, and then you want to grow, and then you give a share of your own idea to another person for exchange of money. So, keeping that in mind, you got to know what is the right value. At times, I have seen people going overboard, asking something which is not rational. At times, I have seen people undervaluing themselves, where they don't even know what the worth of the product is. So, as an entrepreneur, it is very, very important that to assess the situation. If you are in a competitive segment, I mean education tech, fintechs, in that matter, uh, there's a lot of value add that is being created by a lot of companies. You need to see what is your cohort, what is your moat, and then try and perceive a value which the investor can buy in. So coming to your question on undervalue and overvalue, it goes both ways. We have seen that. However, we feel, and while we are talking to the investor, we tell him that, boss, you have built something decent. I don't undervalue yourself, because what happens is, if you come at a very low valuation and the poor fellow dilutes himself so much the next round becomes very challenging, because then he will go down his 50% stake before a series A, and no investor will want to look at a company where the promoter themselves have been diluted so much.
So let's shift a little bit to the times we live in, right? Today, being a startup founder is almost celebrated, and funding is considered almost a birthright. And we have situations in schools today where you get certificates and a round of applause just for showing up, not winning. And we are constantly bombarded by management jargon, young entrepreneurs. They're constantly told perseverance, grit, determination. Where does perseverance stop and stupidity start for, or stubbornness start? Stupidity is too strong a term. Where does perseverance stop? And an entrepreneur should say stop. And such kind of stubbornness takes over because more guys fail than succeed, right? But there is this whole aura about grit, determination, don't give up, keep trying, keep trying, keep trying. What is that point when an entrepreneur should say, enough, I should try something new?
Uh, there is a concept of fast fail and quick burns. That
Mhm.
is something that I have learned in looking at the US market. They are firm believers that you fast fail. Don't give it too much of time, because if it is not happening, it will not happen. I keep telling entrepreneurs, don't reinvent the wheel. I mean, you should first look at where you want to build a business. Then secondly, you want to look at competition. If there is something which is already there, don't reinvent the wheel. If a Flipkart is there, or Amazon is there, there is no point starting another e-commerce site, because they're pretty big. If you want to go into social commerce, go to rural parts of the country where the market is still very, very nascent. Then of course that makes a lot of sense. Coming back to the moot point is, entrepreneurs should always have resilience and perseverance. That goes without saying. It's the toughest job, I'll tell you. When there is no checks on the 30th of the month, and you have to spend your own money, you don't know where you are going. Some of these fellows are very young, so they are okay with it. But we have seen entrepreneurs who are in their early 30s, late 40s. They have left a good paycheck which was coming every 30th of the month, and jumped in, and suddenly they don't know where the next round of money is coming from. So we have seen a lot of perspirations, a lot of I would say anxiety in them. Perseverance and resilience has to be a core of an entrepreneur. You cannot create wealth without that. You will have bad days, you will have very tough months. It's the resilience that will pull you through. But what you should do is research upfront. Don't reinvent the wheel. Don't get into a product or service which has got very stiff competition, because fortunately or unfortunately, you may see, the problem is you can create a 1 crore to a 10 crore business, but that is for you, that is not investable. The real investments or the investors get really a kick in their backside when they feel that a company has a great product, can become one, two, three in the market in which they are operating, or the segment in which they are operating, and can capture at least 10 to not even 10 in stiff markets, 10 in smaller markets, it should be 25-30% market share. That is the logic with which every investment takes place. For young entrepreneurs, they must do research upfront. If they are building a product, they should know what the core USP of the product is, what is the problem they are solving, and then build it up to a minimum viable stage from where they can look for funding. They should not think that it's a great idea, come to an investor, because gone are the days. Currently the business environment is such that there are people who do fund at idea stage, but there is enormous risk. If you are looking at 100 startups, then perhaps 80 would fail, 20 will survive, 10 will be okay, 5 will be doing decent business, and then only a couple of them will make it big. So that is basically the rough maths I'm talking about. So coming back to your point, uh, the entrepreneur's resilience and perseverance is a must, but the point of stopping is almost like very upfront. When I say fast fail, you try it out. If it doesn't work for a year and a half, two, because it you will know what the sense of the market is. You have to build a minimum viable product, go and try and sell it. And first and foremost, see if you want to buy the product yourself.
Yeah.
If you don't want to buy the product yourself, then it's very difficult to convince anybody else to buy the product.
Couple of things to that point that I also tell entrepreneurs. People who come with generic products, right? I tell them, if you live in an apartment or on a street where even 10% of the people don't have your product, or you have more Facebook friends than clients, then seriously, you need to rethink what you're doing. So, and even on the perseverance side, often they ask, should I continue, not continue? I said, there is a tipping point. The day you start bullshitting yourself and you look in the mirror and you realize that what you're saying is not making sense to you, it's time to stop. Enough.
I mean, I have seen one psyche building up in the Indian ecosystem, that it's a FOMO that has been created. Everybody feels that they are missing out. It is not the case. I mean, when we were growing young, we knew that every business has to make profit someday. That is how you return the money to an investor, technically. Even the IPOs that are happening, sorry to say, none of them are profitable. I mean, the government tweaked the clause. When we were growing up, we knew that you have to have 3 years of profit before you go to the market and
True.
take retail money. I am all for it. I'm not saying that these are not great businesses, because they have served the larger mass of the population in very, very challenging times. And it will continue to grow. What I'm saying is, when you are an entrepreneur, think about how you're going to make money. The wealth creation is through dividends, and it's through net profit, which grows your net worth. If you have studied finance, you would know that net profit goes back into your balance sheet as retained earnings, and half of it is spread across dividends. So that is how you can keep your shareholders happy, your investors happy. So whatever you are trying to do, whatever you're trying to make, achieve, build, make a business out of it. Don't just think about valuations. Valuations are hunky dory stuff. I mean, you have seen a WeWork fail. You have seen, I mean, Oyo is in a lot of trouble. You have seen big businesses fail,
True.
which have
True.
raised tons and tons of money and done nothing about it.
Yeah.
And even Uber is struggling, but that is purely due to pandemic. Uh, but 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 build a strong business case, a model which is sustainable in nature, and money will flow. You
Yeah.
People will chase you to give money, because it's a tier structure. Right now we are talking about venture capital, which is early stage, but there are private equity guys, there are sovereign wealth funds, and then of course the retail market, which is the IPO.
Absolutely. And it is the maturity model, right? You start
Yeah.
with being paranoid about cash flow, and one day you mature to P&L, and then you start thinking balance sheet. First few years are all cash flow.
No, some of the entrepreneurs come back. It's a catch 22. They tell me, अरे पैसा नहीं डालेंगे तो कैसे होगा मतलब. But that is a very wrong approach to take, because what I would say is, if you are an engineer, you have built a great product, try and go and sell it to a customer. Let give take feedback, see what he has to say, whether you are doing something which he actually requires or not. If he requires it, he will pay for it. I'm pretty sure about it. Once he pays, your confidence grows up, and then you make the final tweaks, update, upgrade, and be where you want to be.
So let's talk about something else. You spent 15 years in this space. You've probably met as many entrepreneurs as I have, thousands and thousands of them. Put aside for a moment your company's investment philosophy, because you're bound by that, right? And you have to go as per that. I respect that. But when you look at a entrepreneur pitching to you, what is it that makes you go, I want to talk to this guy some more? What is that
See,
point?
see, when I said that perseverance and resilience are very important, I would also say that you got to be a hustler yourself. If you can't sell, nobody will sell for you. That is very, very important quality in an entrepreneur. So I see how many people are trying to be chasing me. Like, I mean, I see 5 or 7 deals a day. It is very difficult for me to talk to everyone, but I see every deck that is sent to me. Every deck I see, because that is how I assess the potential opportunity. I don't want to miss out on a great opportunity which came to my mailbox. But at the same point in time, at times you respond and you don't get a reply back in maybe 2 3 days. Sometimes, and on the flip side, you get a person who keeps chasing you, chasing you, chasing you, till you say, okay, let's talk. So the hustler, being a hustler, that it helps a lot. Second core quality is that we look at when we are talking to entrepreneurs is subject matter knowledge. I mean, to your point of bullshitting, I mean, some people just come and say, I will do this, I will do this, I have a great model, I can build this out. But half of the time there is nothing in it's everything is in assumptions. And assumptions are very tricky things. Like if you assume good things, you will see good things. If you assume bad things, then things don't look great. Uh, so that is a challenge, and that is one quality that every entrepreneur and budding entrepreneur should actually have to hustle it themselves. It's the elevator pitch concept. If you find me on an elevator and you want to pitch something, you should be able to tell me the crisp in 5 minutes till I reach my floor. If you can't do that, then you are not knowing what you want to sell.
Yeah. So a few things you said which resonate very well with me. I keep telling entrepreneurs at early stage, two skills are absolutely a must in the founding team. One, ability to sell, which is your hustling, and second, ability to manage cash. Don't come and tell me even your monthly household expenses cash flow is managed by your spouse, because then I would hire her, not you. And the other point you make, which I also repeat a lot, is ultimately people put money on people,
Okay.
and they will put money on you if you have credibility. And credibility comes from knowledge and research. How well do you know what you're doing? And if that will give me the confidence, the idea will come and go. That's okay. I mean, but what gives me confidence is how credible are you?
And honestly speaking, we bet on the jockey and on the horse. We have seen great ideas fail because of very poor execution skills. So it's almost like a game of poker when you start with the entrepreneurs as card one, and the second card is the market in which they're trying to play. And then every deal shows up traction, then there is commitments, and then they have you go on the right path. Right? But prima facie, the subject matter knowledge of the entrepreneur and how he's positioning himself. Because at the end of the day, we have sent two entrepreneurs selling the same idea. One is a better seller. He knows what he's doing. He understands the business, and he's taking the right decisions. And the other fellow is too much into product or bullshitting, and then you
Yeah.
go nowhere.
So my next question is to do with something I believe in as well, that a lot of people, and right now in India, we have more mentors and podcasters and advisors than entrepreneurs. Sometimes midlife burnt out individuals going around as mentors, taking equity, doing nothing. But that aside, there's so much that these entrepreneurs can get from in terms of you know inputs from these people. But when you look back, you've done this for close to a decade and a half. I keep saying that any idiot can tell you what not to do because it's intuitive. But very few people can tell you what to do. I can tell you what is wrong with this. I can't tell you what is right in this because naturally I'm tuned to look at what is wrong. So when you look back at your decade and a half and you think of, visualize the deal that you're most proud of, what did you do right as a VC?
See, again, coming back to the basics, when we look at an entrepreneur, so I'll cite the example of a company called Renticle. I met them in a conference, and the promoter bought only 5 minutes with me because it was almost like a speed dating concept.
Okay.
But what he did was very smartly was he had his other co-founder in the same line. So the conversation instead of 5 minutes happened for 10 minutes. So that was a very smart thing. I thought that they thought through, and they felt that this is the continuation of the conversation that can take place. So that kind of gives you the smartness in a person, that he can maneuver through challenging and difficult times, because it's a competition. Everybody is trying to win. It's not a winner take all, but everybody is trying to win. And the second most important thing is that uh, while you are talking to an entrepreneur, you see whether uh, what he's trying to tell you, he believes in it or not. Because if he doesn't believe, then it is very difficult, because the belief will create the vision will create the plan, and then plan will be executed to get the results. It's a very chronological way of thinking. So what happens is when you talk to people, people talk about too many things and don't focus on what they are trying to do. And that is like a very easy no. I mean, of all the businesses that we have seen, it's a very quick yes and no when people write too many things in your deck. A crisp deck will have very few things: business model, revenue streams, team, traction, what you require, and how you're going to spend it. I think you don't require anything more than that in your initial
Yeah.
conversations.
I
But
talk to
people
people
talk about, yeah, people
and say
talk
the
about
same
and
thing.
write so many things.
Yeah. I tell them the same things. I want only five things. What is the problem you're solving for? And it should be large enough that people will pay for it.
Right.
What is the solution and what stage is it at? Why you? Now tell me team, traction, whatever you want to show off about. How much are you going to give and how are you going to spend it? That's all I want to know. I don't want to know anything else.
Yeah, that's the most ideal pitch because it takes 30 minutes. You can ask follow-on questions because you have to create that curiosity in the person who's looking to invest. Sometimes people go, they build 20, 25, 30 slide decks. When you give them time, they start talking. 30 minutes are gone and you would have lost interest by then. What I want to know is, what have you done so far? What is your background? Why you came up with this idea? What is the solution you're making? And how you're going to, I mean, have you seen any success or not in terms of one customer, two customers? What is the feedback? And that's good enough for me to start with, and then I can build around it because I also come with some expertise and some network. Because if I feel that, oh, I know this person, I can introduce him, he can get more business, the business can grow. So I am also thinking business while I'm talking to him. But if you don't get me, you don't press the right chords with me, then I'll get lost.
So one of the things that I observe with investors is that uh, they shy away from giving full and direct feedback. I can understand the reasons, right? They don't want to demotivate. They don't want to look bad in case the guy makes it big tomorrow. But how important is that? I mean, should you give your feedback, or you should just stop taking calls, or how do you work?
See, it's a very good question. I would say I'll answer it in two parts. Part one is, we believe in giving feedback, but not everybody is open for a feedback. When you say that this is wrong, they take it offensively and say that no, you don't understand this. That is one piece of it. Very few people are taught to take feedback. They always feel it is criticism. Okay, so you got to differentiate between what is a feedback and what is a criticism. Number one. Number two is, it is very important to give the feedback because then you have done your job and you can stop him from doing something which he will regret, say another 6 months down the line, 10 months down the line. And we firmly believe at ThinKuvate that our value add is not just in our presence in the room, but in the absence of the room as well. So people will say, he told us the right thing, we didn't do it, now we are in trouble. So feedback is very important. Coming back to not picking calls, I'll tell you one thing. I used to believe when I was a banker that why the investor is not returning my mails or calls. But after I went into the shoes of an investor, it is a very, very stressful day that you pass through because you look at five new opportunities. You may be talking to three of them which are live. You may be closing one which requires money to be given out. On top of it, there are conferences, seminars. I mean, now it is digital and it is even more taxing because now you can't even tell people that you are at one conference and you can't attend the other because they will say that our conference at 5:30, you can join us at 6 o'clock. So, and it's all digital, so that even eats up into a lot of your time. So sometimes you may miss calls. Sometimes you may want to not give a feedback because you yourself are not decided whether you want to invest or not. Sometimes you're waiting for the IC to tell you, can we do another call? Has that company raised funds? What is the current situation? Maybe one first call you were on the fence. Then 20 days passed. That fellow has given you three messages, and suddenly at the end of the 20th day, people say, let's revisit that. I think I spoke to some expert and he was saying that that company is good. Suddenly you start chasing the promoter again. These are very live and realistic examples I'm giving you. uh, and that is the second part of my answer to your question.
So, you've been very candid there. What people don't understand is life of an investor is very tough. And I keep telling entrepreneurs, for one moment, for one day, sit in this locked room and hear pitch after pitch and see how it feels. Pitch after pitch after pitch of passionate people who believe they've got it and you don't get it. And it is brutally boring after a point.
I would not say it is boring, to be very honest with you,
Okay.
because I learn from every person and every pitch that I hear, because it is almost like creating a repository in my head. Now, after almost 15 years, when somebody approaches me, I look at the deck and I can almost recall, and that brings to my first point, that you got to have a very sharp memory if you want to be in this business, because you would have seen something which you got to remember while you are assessing the next thing. That is very, very critical to be successful in this area. The other thing is that when you are listening to pitches, it's the passion of the entrepreneur that drives you, because at times it may be afternoon session, you may have had lunch. I'm talking very candidly in this interview, that you may have had lunch, you are not on top of your game, but somebody who's trying to explain you a product, he or she has to take that extra effort to tell you, I'm doing this, are you excited about this? I mean, there are run of the mill IoT companies, there are run of the mill fintechs, there are run of the mill edutechs. Everybody is aggregating tutors. Our tutor will not go to every channel, right? There is an academy, Vedantu, Baiju. If you're not doing something different, which is rural, or you are trying to go to the Bharat, as I would say, how will you capture my attention? Because the urban market, the metro markets are already done. I mean, most of the consumers are using one or the other. So these are the kind of pitches that excite you, and you the switch on switch off button is very, very nimble. I mean, whenever you feel that I don't want to listen, you don't want to listen.
Yeah.
But if you say that you want to listen, initially first 15 minutes, if you can't create the impact, it is very difficult then to grab attention.
True. Now, investors also feed off the energy of the entrepreneur, and that's the point you're making. We are completely out of time. I think this is the longest I have done in 24
Okay.
episodes so far. But one
All
last
right.
question. So,
Sure.
you spoke about the life of a investor, and it is tough, right? It's not an easy thing as people think from outside. So, what do you do to de stress?
Very good question. See, I I hardly find time, to be very honest with you. My day starts at 6 a.m. in the morning, because Singapore opens. It's already 8:30 there.
Yes.
By the time I finish, I have some investors who are sitting in US. There are certain calls that happen late in the night. We also scout for opportunities in Silicon Valley. So there are entrepreneurs who prefer an evening time slot as far as India or East Asia is concerned. So I do find time. I listen to music. I go out for some walk. I love sports. I was watching Olympics whenever I got time. Uh, then I listen. I read some books, and especially and I have to read a lot, to be very honest with you, because what is happening, if I don't know, somebody will come and tell me something that looks very great, but suddenly you will look like a fool because you have not read. So constant reading is also very, very important for me. I mean, it is not de-stressing. I place a lot of Scrabble because I want to see how can I beat the computer. I play a lot of chess because that allows me what sort of strategies to involve. That's about it. Those are my de-stressing stuff.
Again, you made an important point. A habit that is undervalued today is the habit of reading. People don't read. And I keep telling entrepreneurs the biggest loss of credibility is when you go to an investor and they know more about your industry than you do. You are showing statistics and market data from a free internet website, they have the paid report with them. So be careful. So, Addison, it's been an absolute pleasure having you.
Yeah.
Like I said, this has gone the longest I've ever had. Thank you very much for your very, very candid responses. And I wish you the very best.
Thank you, Nalin. Thanks for having me on a Friday evening. Pleasure to be around. Thank you.
Have a great evening. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.